This week, then, we're marking 5 years since the pandemic, and today we want to know from you, or you, or a loved one, or friends, or someone in your circle. Are you somebody, or do you know someone who suffered with long COVID? I think probably most people listening have had COVID. I think that very few people escaped it completely, and it's it's pretty grim. It knocks you around. It's a short-term illness though, but long COVID is a completely different thing. It's a chronic condition. 2 million people, it's thought, have got it in the UK, still living with long COVID, experiencing a wide range of symptoms. So things like extreme tiredness, we mentioned joint pain, breathing difficulties, even dizziness. It's something that is really, really debilitating. There's no cure for it, no treatment that works for everyone. And to make matters worse, the number of NHS clinics for people living with long COVID has more than halved. Let's speak to someone who's really been affected by this. Oonagh Cousins was a Team GB rower selected to take part in the 2020 Olympics. By the time those Olympics took place, after being delayed for a year, she'd contracted long COVID and had to retire from the sport. She's now an ambassador for the charity Long COVID Support, and I'm very pleased to say she joins us now. Morning to you, Oonagh. Hello, Oonagh. Are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you
yes,
hear me?
yes, I can hear you. Sorry, that was my fault. I couldn't find
No
you. Looking in the wrong place.
Thank you very much.
So when did you originally get COVID? When did you first get it?
Right at the beginning of the pandemic, March 2020. I thought it was a cold. It was so mild. I said to my coach, I need a few days off to recover from this. And then I just never got better, basically.
And how quickly did you realise it was something more than just COVID, and it was this long COVID?
It took me a while, to be honest. I kept trying to convince myself I was getting better. I kept saying I need another week, and it wasn't until kind of October 2020 when I tried to, the team was, after lockdown, was returning to the National Training Centre, and I tried to string kind of a few training sessions together to get back, and I ended up crashing really hard. And that was when the decision was made that I wasn't going to be able to try and compete again for the postponed Olympics. And then I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I'm really long-term sick. And even at that point, I actually was only able to, if I was honest with myself, kind of do 4 hours of kind of basic daily tasks without kind of making myself more and more sick. I was obviously in a bit of denial because I was trying to go back to training because I wanted to get back to the Olympics. But once that was off the table, I started to really reckon with the fact that how sick I was, and that I was in that for the long haul.
Yeah. I mean, there's two things going on there, isn't there? The fact that you're having to come to terms with this awful illness that you've got, but also, even worse, the fact that I'm guessing it had been a long-term dream to be an Olympic rower. I mean, how was it dealing with that was never going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it was totally devastating. I was like new to the team. I thought I was starting my international career. And yeah, it was a dream of mine to go to the Olympics. I would say though, actually, now in hindsight, it's actually, I mean, I'm still not better yet. Like, actually, what the most difficult thing about this illness has been for me is just like totally losing my ability to function. Yeah. I'm in my mid-20s. I was meant to be kind of peak at my health, and for months I was like unable to, I wasn't able to train, but I wasn't able to do basic daily stuff. And obviously losing the Olympics is devastating, and I don't want to diminish how much rowing meant to me, but I really wasn't able to function at all normally, and I'm still not better. I still can't work full time. I can't exercise. So it's the debilitating effects of this illness that really were the most difficult.
Just try and describe it to us then, because I mean, I think that level of exhaustion and not being able to function properly, that's probably pretty foreign to most people. And people say, "Oh, I'm knackered, I'm tired," but I mean, this is another level, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do think that's one of the difficulties, and there's a lot of misconceptions around this illness. I think tiredness and fatigue is really the wrong word. It's better to understand it as like having very, very low reserves. And if you go beyond those reserves, you crash, and you have kind of you experience sickness rather than tiredness, and it's something that like totally knocks you out and you can't function. And again, it's something that not many people have experienced. The closest thing I can describe it is like having a really terrible hangover and really bad flu, but without the kind of cough and the headache. It's just this like systemic feeling of feeling awful. And I do think it's hard to, when you haven't experienced it, it's hard to like kind of empathize with it, because it's like, what does that feel like? But it's different to anything you felt as a healthy person.
You said you still can't work, properly a full-time job. I mean, are you better now than you were back then? I mean, how is it day to day for you?
Yeah, so I have it's been a bit of a roller coaster. I kind of steadily recovered for 2.5 years, and then I had a major relapse, and then again at the end of 2022, and then again have kind of steadily improved. But I can't work full time. I'm still managing symptoms on a daily basis, and I can't do any physical activity. Anything that raises my heart rate brings on symptoms. And although I have improved, I've hit a plateau kind of in the last year, and I suspect that I won't get better. I will never fully recover unless there's more biomedical research, and there's a medicine that can actually help us, because I just don't think my body's going to continue to recover from this.
And that's, extraordinary for someone like yourself, because I'm guessing to be an Olympic rower, you would have been in absolute tip-top condition, physical condition. You'd have been almost a superhuman athlete.
I was very fit and healthy. I was training 16 times a week. My life revolved around, my body, basically. I was eating incredibly well. I was sleeping a lot. I couldn't have really, like you said, I couldn't have been more healthy. Yeah. And I do think it's important to talk about that, because there's this real misconception that it's kind of maybe a bit of laziness, or only affects the vulnerable, or other medical conditions, but it's just not the case. It really can affect everyone. Even children are getting it. And you can be incredibly fit and healthy, and it can totally wipe you out and stop you from living your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And how are you finding things now? Because I mentioned before I came to you, the number of clinics, NHS clinics, sort of helping with this now is halved as well. Is that causing you any problems?
Yeah, so I was really lucky because I had private healthcare through British Rowing, because there's so little healthcare available on the NHS. But saying that, these clinics are the only specialist care that is available for people, and it's complicated to talk about, because long COVID is very different for many different people. And so, although there's limited access and there's limited treatment and cures available on the NHS, what the best clinics are helping some people, and so we really need those. We really need to keep those open. And this is not a problem that's going away. There's 2 million people affecting it. People are continuing to develop long COVID. Again, that's a kind of a misconception that this is all over. People are still getting it. The burden of long COVID is actually increasing, because there's people not recovering and people continue to develop it. So getting rid of any specialist care just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And yes, these clinics need to improve, but closing them is not the answer. We need to improve them, not close them.
Yeah. Oonagh, it's really good to speak to you. I hope your health continues to improve, and have a good day. Thanks for having a chat with us.
Thank you very much.
There's Oonagh Cousins, who was, as she described herself, a really fit, healthy athlete, peak of her fitness probably, rowing for Team GB, back to going to the Olympics, and she gets COVID and ends up with that sort of debilitating condition. So it does just prove absolutely that it was completely indiscriminate, this, wasn't it? It would take anybody and everybody, and many people are still living with the results and the implications of it. So